Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel and hope you guys are doing great. So in my today's video, I'm going to take you through the recent Q4 FY26 result for Craftsman Automation Limited and to the con call summary where we'll go through the main point mostly related to the growth and what are they doing to expand their current capacity. But before we get into that, I'll just take you through the business model and what do they actually do. So their business actually revolves around high-end precision engineering, and contract engineering and industrial problem solving. So these are the main three things. So if you look at their business model, if you divide it to right, first is automotive powertrain, where they manufacture, how to say, cylinder blocks and cylinder heads for commercial vehicles, tractors, and construction equipment. And if you look at the other part, right, the aluminium product, this is where they make lightweight aluminum components, mostly like crankcases and engine parts for two-wheelers and four-wheeler passenger vehicles. And the third is industrial engineering, right? Over here, they cover automated warehouse solutions and any other requirements that the companies have, which they fulfill. So these are their three main business model. And one of the reasons they entered into this business model is right because if you look at the other two parts, right, they're mainly how to say cyclical because they're all related to automobile industry. So that's why they entered into this third part of the business, so they can earn revenue which is not that cyclical and help to reduce the overall cyclicality. So that was one of the main reasons. So if you look at their Q4 numbers, right, the revenue grew by almost around 28% to 2,226 crores, and PAT was up by almost 56% to 116 crores. And if you look at their full year FY26 revenue, it increased by almost 42% to 8,069 crores, and PAT was up by almost 85% to 384 crores. So one of the things, if you see, right, the company is getting a huge operating leverage because if you look at their profit numbers, it's almost double to their sales. And obviously, this has happened only after the acquisitions that they made in the last couple of years from DR Axion, to Sunbeam and all those things, right, which impacted the overall margin earlier. But as they are scaling up and as their things are getting better, they're getting the operating leverage. If you look at the overall revenue from the three business segment, what is their contribution, what is the growth? I'll just go through that. If you look at Powertrain, it grew by almost around 20%. Aluminium products grew by almost 58%, and industrial engineering revenue grew by almost 30%. So if you look at it, aluminium product was one of the main reason for the overall growth, and the industrial and engineering business, right, which they started to reduce the overall cyclicity, also did quite good by growing by 30%. And if you look at the revenue contribution, the highest was aluminium product at 59%, which translates around 4,780 crores. Then the second was powertrain, which was around 27% to 2,178 crores. And industrial and engineering was the last one, which contributed to around 40% of the revenue, standing at around 1,102. If you look at the capacity utilization, right, for the powertrain, the capacity utilization was around 65 to 70%. So they still have the capacity to ramp it up further depending upon the order book. For aluminium, at this point of time, it is around 60%, and they're very confident that by in FY27 they should be able to ramp it up to around 75 to 80%. And let's look at on the growth or the expansion side what the company is doing, to improve the overall revenue. So first we look at their alloy wheel project, right? So if you look at the overall capacity, currently it's around 5.5 million wheels for the whole year. But for this year, they were able to do around 3 million wheels. So the management has said that for this year, the production is going to ramp up and they're going to able to utilize almost 85 around 80 to 85% of the revenue. Because if you look at their various plan, right, the Shulagiri plan was only operational in the Q3 to Q4 of FY26. So this will become completely operational for the whole year. And if you look at the other part, right, the Sunbeam acquisition, which they did in the aluminium die casting, and one of the main reasons they did this, right, because they wanted to build their presence in the north of India, and that is the reason why they have done this, obviously. But over here, the things are how to say still in a restructuring phase. It is still not meaningfully contributing to the margin as well as to the overall revenue because the management clearly said that the margins are at single digits. And what are the things that they're doing to make it profitable, right? So first of all, they are removing the customers which are not profitable at all, and the restructuring that they're doing of the whole business is on track, so there should not be any delay. And then they're saying that from the Q2 of FY27, right, things will get better and it should meaningfully, the margins should also improve. And if we, and the question was asked also on the scaling of the powertrain and the aluminium, because that is one of the, if you take at the overall contribution of both this, it's close to around 80% and above. So for the powertrain that they have said they want to achieve revenue in their phase one of expansion to almost 100 million by FY 29 and 30. And once they are able to achieve this, and if there is still demand, right, and capacity, then they will go for phase two. In terms of aluminium, the management said that they're mostly focused on value added products where you know the capex is not that much, but in terms of margin it is quite high, and their target is, right, from aluminium business alone to achieve a revenue of around $1 billion. And for that they're given a target of around the next 2 to 3 years. So these are the main things that they're doing. And if you look at their guidance, right, the management was very conservative and they clearly said that they did not give any numbers, but they said it will be in double digit, but it would be in mid teens. So if I take it in mid teens, it could be anywhere between around 14 to 18%, which is quite conservative. But if you look at the same time, right, uh, the growth could be tapering down because earlier they did a lot of acquisition, which contributed the benefit in the last year and this year in terms of the overall revenue growth. And as now things are stabilizing, the growth might slightly come down. But in terms of stability, if you see the business is quite stable, I don't think it can, anywhere shut down or anything can go wrong. It can, how to say, regularly grow their revenue over the next, 4 to 5 years at this rate, but at the same time get operating leverage. And in terms of competition, the chances are very less because the management clearly said the amount of capex which is required to get into such kind of business is quite high, and especially with the land prices going up in these years, right, it is becoming quite difficult. So they don't see much in terms of that. So I don't think they'll have a competition in the, how to say, in the next 3 to 4 years. So that looks good for them. But overall, this is a good and a stable business which will grow. I would personally say I think it would grow in the range of between around 15 to 25%, and will definitely provide operating leverage. So that's all for now. We'll definitely keep an eye on this result in the Q1 and Q2, and we see how the things are progressing. And I definitely keep you guys posted. And if you like this video, please do hit like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you and God bless you.